Perfect. Ah, excellent. I'm slightly early, so we can wait for people to arrive back. Thank you for being here, you wonderful lot. And thank you, Christoph, for your eloquent and helpful presentation earlier. I think that's just interesting to see how these things are put together. So, of course, I have a great solution to your only office problems. And I will, just love to, present them to you and how we work with C-File to make our customers happy and compliant as well. So if you've been living under a rock, maybe, then Collabora Online does all of these good things. We are, I think, focused on interoperability. So you heard talk of C-Doc and C-Table, and I think these fit very different parts of the product space. I think there's a big sort of wiki, knowledge base, Confluence type piece, perhaps for the C-Doc, and C-Table, of course, is something kind of new. Our real passion is getting those trillions of documents. I'm going to try the laser pointer, see if I can zap the screen. Excellent. Trillions. I mean, it's a very large number. I think there are multiple trillions of documents out there in these wonderful, wonderful file formats. And we bring them in and let you interact with them, and primarily to drag people out of that proprietary world, to allow you to host your own C-File server. You asked about a GDPR, on your premise or on your preferred hoster, wherever you happen to be, on your location, and to bring all of your data with you, because that's really the key. It's useful. If you bring the data, hopefully the users come too. That's all good. And of course, we've got other filters for other crazy things, PDF, Visio, Publisher, lots of different things. WYSIWYG rendering. When the wiki was invented, it was amazing to me that WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get, editing, went way out the window, and no one cared, because they could collaborate. And so we're bringing it back again. You'll be pleased to know that Microsoft Office still hasn't got it back. If you look at office.com and Office Online, it's not a WYSIWYG editor. You can't see how it will be when you print it, unless you click the Render it in Word Online button and get the answer back. Yeah, and our architecture is a bit on threads and network. We've done a whole lot of work with AMD, and thread cost is going right down. Chiplets are increasing yield everywhere. Networks are getting incredibly fast. I was hearing the other day that the latency between your Bluetooth keyboard and your television is higher than the latency from the television to the data center running your game, which just shows you that we need faster keyboards or something. Anyway, who can say? Obviously, we have word processing, loading your docx files, and your spreadsheets as well, of course, your XLSX files. Drawing files, so we can do some degree of Visio importing, PDF editing, if you allow that. Presentations, of course, as you can see. One of the nice things is that we're a completely open source company. I'll come to that in a minute. But we have beautiful responsive mobile user interface, and that's built in. So if you're using the web version on your mobile, you get that, and that's pretty nice, sort of for a single thumb UI. And actually, to make this, we wrap our sidebar, which has a very nice palette of the most often used features already in it, and we map that by clever magic into creating these tool palettes, which means there's a large surface area of functionality there. We also run on tablets very nicely, and Chromebooks. So one of the features of our Android app is that it's the same, really, as our online app, which means you have all of this desktop goodness inside it that can pop up. It's not there on your phone. You get your small UI, but if you happen to have a big screen, hey, you can run that nicely for your students. So who is this crazy company, Collabora? Well, it's really two companies, so let me tell you about that. So the first thing is, the parent company is probably one of the leading, well, the leading open source consultancy. It's quite a large company. 150 people, 16 years old, and that's our parent company. Collabora Productivity, which does Collabora Online, was spun out of SUSE, or, I don't know, the best Linux distribution, built in Germany. This has anyway, System und Softwareentwicklung, I don't know, something like that. And yes, we were about 7 people then. We're now 48 and growing. And about 10 years old, also our birthday. So look at that. We celebrate with C-File. Congratulations. And it's really cool. I mean, I was just looking at some of the numbers there, the 75 engineers that we've had in the time, 30 support staff, 1,400 code committers to LibreOffice technology underneath that we build on in that time. Just to give you some numbers around the scale of what we're doing. Because it's a big problem, backwards compatibility and compatibility. And we need Microsoft-sized teams to do this together. And our focus, of course, as productivity is fully on the online office things. But, and we actually have a mission. We didn't write our mission statement after starting the company and then pack it full of nonsense. And it's basically to make open source succeed, to rock. And 15, 16 years ago, this seemed a ridiculous mission. And now we're starting to see open source everywhere. And that's basically the goal of our shareholders. That means that when you give us money, what we do is we put it into forwarding that mission primarily, and not into Lamborghinis. But nice as Lamborghinis could be, I don't know. And all our code is genuine open source. We don't have any real gotchas in our license descriptions for our code saying, oh, but you have to have this logo in the code, and oh, you don't have the trademark rights to the logo. So it's sort of, there's none of this kind of twisted nonsense. Of course, we have to make money. So we're a company. We charge for services support. And I say we're not for sale. I think that's quite important. Like we are eager to protect our distinctive passion for open source. And so, yeah, we're not about to be bought out. Let me just talk very quickly about our parent company, which is doing things from the bottom up. So they're trying to enable Linux and open source across the whole hardware stack at the bottom. So we work with AMD and Intel and ARM, for example, doing hardware enablement. We work with all sorts of, well, I can't list all the companies if we're being recorded. But anyway, there are lots and lots of good things here. Medical devices, cars, infotainment, aircraft, all sorts of embedded devices, VR, reverse engineering virtual reality so that Windows isn't the platform for virtual reality, so there is a free alternative. There's a great Monado stack there. Bosch getting into all sorts of devices with the Apertis operating system, getting Linux and open source everywhere. I could tell you, I could talk for a while about this. Grab me later. Just to give you one flavor of one of our teams. So this is a vertical. And for a long time, ARM would ship a proprietary binary blob as part of their operating stack for Linux. So you can run a free Linux open source, but to get the GPU to render anything, which is on the same chip, you've got to have this binary driver that just, it works once. But in terms of sustaining that and making it secure and keeping it going, it's just a disaster. And so, yeah, so we effectively reverse engineered, or were heavily invested in reverse engineering their binary driver. We created an open source version. It was fantastic. Everyone wanted it. They shipped it in their devices. ARM actually embraced that too and came along. And so we managed to drive open something that has 8 billion GPUs out there at the bottom of the stack, more than there are people alive on the planet today. And this is just a picture. I can't show you all of the things we do, but a picture of how we're trying to drive openness at the bottom of the stack in the parent company, and hopefully succeeding left and right. Of course, productivity, which is my piece and what we're here today, is really trying to drive openness down from the top of the stack. So we have these desktop applications, we have all of these things in your browser, and it's about as high level in the software stack as you can imagine. And we hope to meet in the middle with everything being open source. Let's see. So we sell Collabora Online, which we talked about, putting it in your browser, your own private office in the cloud. We sell Collabora Office, which is a PC, Mac, Linux product, essentially a branded version of LibreOffice. And that's a shared code base underneath our mobile PC and online solutions. And we, of course, do some bespoke consultancy and support, though that's not our passion. So those are the products we sell, but just before you get confused, we very strongly prefer to sell these through partners. So talk to Christoph here, not me, about buying it. That's the punchline. As a customer, it really helps to have a single company to buy through, a single relationship, someone who's responsible for support, that Mark can phone up when there's a crisis, and they just have this very smooth flow. And having that unified product management experience so you can get the features in and have one discussion, not lots. Of course, if you want to talk to us directly, we're happy, but buy it through our partners. And we have staff in 20 countries. But if you want an expert that speaks your language, you want to go to the partner, I think. That's good. So please do get your Collabora Online through C-File. And we have a whole load of partners out there. We have products, but as I say, best to go to C-File. So I'd just like to talk through what we've done in the last year. This will go very quickly, maybe. But I just want to give you an idea of momentum and impetus and feature surface rather than any great detail. So massively improving the layout of particularly misdesigned government forms, where people tend to use tables to pack all sorts of things in, and we've had problems with that in the past. So hugely improving interoperability. You don't want this guy, you want this guy, that looks like the Microsoft version. Calc spreadsheets, again, similarly, hugely improving interoperability of pivot tables, which is if you don't know what pivot tables are, you should, because they're awesome. So you play with those. They help you make business decisions. Spreadsheets are used to make business decisions. That's their primary use. If you try and find a business decision that wasn't made with a spreadsheet, and you'll find probably quite a bad business decision. It's not numerate. You didn't look at the facts and model the future. Yeah, and it said actually that almost every trade in the City of London goes through a spreadsheet, which is slightly frightening. But anyway, document themes. Oh yeah, branding and interoperability, making this thing. We've always been able to import themes, of course, but being able to export those and manage those so that you can get your colors nicely. I think the psychedelic multi-stop gradient thing is absolutely vital. And perhaps you didn't know we had a 3D shape modeling functionality built in. But lots of good things there, and lots of other. This is just some samples of what we've done. There is a lot more really. People with scanners that produce multi-page TIFFs. Wouldn't it be nice if you could see these as multiple pages and your users could look at their scans nicely, and various other random features. We've always been able to insert page numbers, of course, but why insert a heading and then a field when you can have a pretty dialogue that makes that easier for users? Performance, always something we're working on. So, very substantially improving performance in lots of areas, profiling things there. Oh, and that's the core. So that's the pieces that are shared with Collabora Office on the PC version. Let's look at some of the Collabora Online stuff. So bringing QR code stuff to Collabora Online. Zotero, here is something that we should, Daniel or someone and I should huddle in a corner and make work. This requires a key being sent to us for your Zotero thing, but this is cool for university departments. Zotero is an open source bibliographic data management system, and you can have clusters of people that share and collaborate around their citations. Because as we know, you always want to cite your friends and not those other people by mistake, and get it correct, and get your referencing system sorted. And this does this really nicely without having to deploy a Java desktop client. So it's a really nice cloud deployed solution that's easy to manage. And I'm just looking forward to getting that into C-File as soon as we can. What else? Video embedding, so getting those directly in your Impress slides. Pretty font previews of the particular fonts in drop-downs. Memory optimization, so I love some of this low-level stuff. So I don't program much, but I've been playing with some of this because it's just too cool. AVX2 acceleration of run length encoding, and talk to me later about that, So just reducing memory footprint, speeding things up, improving synchronization with the client, caching more, saving a whole lot of CPU time from invalidations that weren't needed, better previewing, and just profiling and looking at the code and mending stuff. Another key feature, and I'm getting, I think, another 10 minutes. Another key feature we really love is accessibility work. So we're doing really a lot of work on improving accessibility for the visually impaired. Some of this is, this is getting pretty good. So we actually render all of our user interface now, or almost all. There's some very small percentage always in 8 million lines of code. Rendering on the client side with JavaScript. So we have our own toolkit there, and we can render loads of this stuff there, making it more accessible, themable, crispable, and easier to test. So we can do more automated testing. We have now on screen reading support, so we can read, the visually impaired can read out of the document, braille displays, and so on. We have an initial implementation there that's improving rapidly. It's in writer only at the moment, but it's coming to calc and impress soon. Dark mode as well has been really cool. So it's just nice to, when you're lying in bed with your spouse late at night, wrestling with that document, working away, you don't want to wake them up with that bright screen, do you? No. So well, dark mode is for you. And also you can check your non-printing characters versus your collaborators who don't. So different properties of the UI now can be then rendered in different views. We have a nice navigator in the sidebar, so you can see your document structure, all of your images and pieces, and navigate very, very easily through that. And of course, key bindings are very important. So isn't it great? You can pop up your home thing and then multi-character, easy to find key bindings, and then dialogue key navigation everywhere, just to make this feel more like a native desktop application, even though it's running in the browser. One of the slight sadnesses about Office 365 is the appalling quality and feature surface of Office 365. It's really dire. So for example, you can't insert a chart into Microsoft Word in the browser. And that does seem slightly strange. It seems like you might want a chart occasionally in your documents, particularly if you've used your spreadsheet to make good decisions, numerically, You want to show them then to the other people. Well, you just can't do that. That's not for you. And so it's sad to see, and at least my 2-second view of Microsoft's strategy here is to tie people to Windows and Windows Office for as long as possible to get their data into their cloud, and then finally migrate you. So, it's relatively easy to make a much richer, much more useful, a much better, more accessible, featureful app. But I think they're choosing to try and, slowly shift for you. They want your data first, and then they can get your applications, perhaps. So anyway, and we're all built on top of LibreOffice technology. So there's a Stiftung in Berlin that moderates a sort of community of different companies and volunteers around that, as I mentioned earlier, which is cool. Let me talk about deployment quickly. So one of the things that I suspect from talking to people is similar to C table, is that we really want to bring all of our users that edit one document to the same machine. So if we have foo.doc edited on I can use this, can't I? Edited on this machine, then all of these users, if they're working on it, they really need to end up on this machine together. And so that requires a little bit of work in terms of HA proxy, F5, whatever configuration, to make sure that we go to the right place. And after that, everything is very, very, very simple. So in terms of the setup, comparing to the famous OnlyOffice, we have essentially one Docker image that does everything, and then the state is stored in C file. So the settings, the document stuff is stored in the documents in C file or in the browser thing. It's a transient setting. And there is no Postgres database, RabbitMQ message bus, NFS shared storage, Redis extra, right? Like this is quite a simple thing to deploy. There's a Helm chart there, you fire it up, it just works. We can monitor it through Prometheus. And with that whole mess, how do you know which bit to take down when and upgrade? Like that's kind of interesting. With our setup, if you're clever, you can upgrade each of these. You can push people off them, take it down, upgrade incrementally, so you have like pretty good uptime, right? Like there's no need to reset different parts of the system at any time. Prometheus metrics for monitoring and plugging into your nice thing. So I think it's excessively easy to deploy. I hear this at CS3. People are like, oh, it just worked. If only all software was that easy. So yeah. Oh, a cool day. So we have a conference. We would love you to come to it and tell us about it. So there was at Cambridge last time. Last time before we were in Berlin, we did skydiving. Look at that. That's kind of good, huh? Go to Berlin for sky. It was inside in a tube. Which makes it safer. And there's lots of cool kids there. You can see some of them, have repented of their evil ways, so under pressure. But there you go. And so we'd love to see you in Cambridge. But just in conclusion, then, I think I'm there. I'm speaking too quickly. So yeah, we have a free software mission. We really have genuine openness, and we think that protects our customers and their investment. Our passion is to really liberate your documents in conjunction with partners like C-File and get those out into a much more open world where you can host this on-premise and get that freedom and compliance and confidence there. And we like to think we're the productivity solution for the free world. you know. I think I forget the stats on our people. We do have people all around the world. You know, we have people in India and Bolivia and Austria and Australia. No, not anymore. South Africa. We used to have a guy in South Sudan, which is quite extraordinary, but he moved to Canada. So, well, what can you do? Anyway, we have people everywhere. We try and hire people working from home who are experts in their field, and we don't really much mind where they are as long as they're, you know, trustworthy and so on. But the vast majority of our staff are in Europe, and even a large proportion are NATO members, if that makes anything sense to you. And so I think we're really the solution for the free world. And thanks to all our customers. Yeah, I mean, like, I can stand here and talk as much as I like, but you, the customers, and you, the partners, actually fund everything we do. So thank you for your support. And also for giving great feedback. We love to hear product feedback. Please do give me any either now or later in the day. I'll be here tomorrow as well. Thank you for your patience. You've been very good. Thank you. And that's me. Any questions, comments, stoning, you know, heckling, you know, stoning, you know. We've run out of tomatoes, unfortunately, at the back, but no doubt there'll be more soon, you know. Any questions from anyone? The first one is always the hardest. Gentlemen, thank you. Look at that. A brave man.
Just totally, we use Microsoft Visio for swim lane diagrams.
Okay.
What would be the option with your program, Office?
Sure. So we can try and import those diagrams. My understanding is VSD files work pretty well. VSDX files, I think, also are possible. I need to look at that.
We would like to not
create them. Yes, no, I understand that. So, of course, it's possible to draw. We have shapes, we have connectors, we have lines, and you can do that. It's not as beautiful as I want it to be, but it's getting better. How about that? So, yeah, come and tell me your use case. I think there are a number of other, you know, web tools that do this these days that can be used, but yeah, we like to really rescue your documents and bring them and then give you that choice of what to use going ahead. But yeah, certainly you can draw diagrams in Collabora Online. There's no problem with that. I want more libraries of shapes and things. You know, we have some, you know, but it would be nice to do more. I'm always a frustrated product manager. You know, there's always more I want to do. But yeah, I mean, you know, you can certainly draw diagrams with it. I do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. What else can I say? Yeah, I mean, Visio's of shoot.
I use it privately for, like, again, CSV file every the other month, and I open it on my Android phone using Microsoft.
Right.
They don't show it properly, even though it is a Microsoft file on the phone, but you can. So.
Well, that's good, isn't it? That's awesome. Yes, it's quite interesting on Microsoft's phone app. So one of the tricks that people do is they have a CSV file and they put a .xls suffix on it. Yeah. And then in Office, this loads as like a spreadsheet and people don't even know. We obviously like to show the CSV dialog and give some choice and so on. But I think we shortcut the XLS case to try and be compatible with that. But yeah, I mean, like it's really a full feature product on your phone as well. So. Yeah, cool. Well, glad you like that. And I think the other thing about Visio is that I've seen grown men close to tears because their Visio license has been taken away from them by some cost-saving exercise. And if you look at the Office productivity market, it's quite amazing that you can get, you know, Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook are relatively cheap because we're providing some pretty good competition for them. And Visio is like unbelievably expensive, hundreds and hundreds of euros. And like, really? Visio is more complicated than Excel? I don't think so. It's just, you know, it's just market reality. So yes, one day we'll drive the price of Visio right down for everyone by, you know, fixing that. But yeah, does that help? Shoot.
What challenges did you face in the past regarding integration with CFA, or if you have recent challenges that you can share?
That's a really good question. So I think that's probably a joint joint question. And actually, I don't know. I don't remember. It seems to work nicely. I mean, I was using it yesterday, and it works very nicely. You know, so but there's more we can do there. So I think one of the things I'd like to do is get someone to do some more specific things to improve the look. For example, we got all this theming infrastructure. that could make it just look beautiful, beautifully orange. It's got to be a C file alike. So I think there's a whole load of things there that we can do that are individually small and add up to big wins for the users.
I think if you break it down, the interface between any kind of Office editor like only Office or Collabora and C-File, the interface is quite easy because at the moment you click inside C-File on an Office document, a new browser window just opens up. It has a very simple HTML structure with just a kind of div file, and inside this div file you just grab, so the online Office, the Collabora or the only Office, they just grab the file once via a download link, and they just render or take it over into their responsibility. Then everything, all the magic happens inside the editor, and as soon as the last person closes the window, the document is sent back to C-File. So at the moment of the editing, you don't have any kind of difficult
interaction. No, that's absolutely right, Christoph.
Basically, you have two interactions. The first one is, dear Collabora Online, please get the file from this download link. So this is interaction number one, and as soon as the document is handed over, there's a second interaction like, okay, dear C-File, please download the file from this place and just store it back to your file system. So it's basically the interaction is quite easy, and therefore the software solutions are quite easy to
it's yes, indeed. I don't think it's a hugely tricky thing. We would say often a person week or 2 person weeks to do a basic integration. It's not tricky. And true, yeah, of course. We also autosave. So we're eager to make sure that the file is up to date if you're on a different client. So we save, depending on how active you are, at a different interval, every couple of minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. One more for you, and then one for Mark. What was it? Yeah.
Maybe you were too quick with the slides.
I was. I'm sorry. I get excited and I go too fast. So no, but as we expect C-File to support versioning. So I mean, there is a really very old, very nasty in-file versioning built into ODF, which you really don't want to use. It's like one of those vestigial features with the appendix. It's like it gets inflamed, but it's not much use. So no, we would expect the file backend to do that. So as and when we save or auto-saved, to create new versions, and then allow the user to see those. So yes. One of the things that perhaps wasn't obvious is we're effectively a stateless component. You could call us a microservice if you want. It's quite a big microservice individually. It's very complex, but we put all of our state back into C-File at the end of the day. So you can tear the whole cluster down. Everything is in C-File. Bring it up again. Nothing lost. Sorry, Mark.
I would just like to share a small bit about hey, it's easily integrated, and you just save the document. When we activated our web application firewall, we did it in detection-only mode, yeah? But it wasn't detection-only mode. We found out there was a bug. And actually, the Office, we use Office Online. We have a SharePoint server on premise, but we are looking to move currently. The first part was not blocked by the web application firewall, and it looks like the first part is clear the document, and the second part is apply this payload to the document. So we actually had users resetting the whole document. Yeah, so something can go wrong. We didn't know that this would even be a possibility. And they couldn't just use the history, which is an awesome feature of C-File. But there was something going wrong there. So potentially Collabora could also be affected by this. Just as I mean, most people here might not immediately know web application firewall, but there was like an edge case. We could not fully debug it because we don't have the time for it. And of course, it was easily fixable by the history. But I would just like to share that this could also be a possibility. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think if your Microsoft app first deletes the file and then writes it, and you don't get the write, you only get the delete, then you can have problems. I don't disagree. However, yeah, it doesn't do it like that. I think it's worth saying. So yes, yeah. Please do. Yeah. No, so I mean, I think as Christoph says, basically it's a web get and a web put. It's a post. And of course, if you want to abort the post in the middle, we'll detect that, or C-File will do something sensible. I'm confident. Yeah, hopefully the completely deleted files is is something that you only get with Microsoft as a feature.
It
Yeah.
was not deleted. It was just overwritten with like empty content. Yeah.
Oh right, oh, okay, oh even better. Yeah, you know.
And we will potentially evaluate every other solution.
Of course, of course.
Not because it's just interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And once you've seen it once, you can't unsee it. Another mark. Yeah, yeah.
Also, yeah, another input for me. I'm totally sold on the, I love the enthusiasm. I totally sold on the mission.
Sure.
The thing is, I'm not the one who's using Office files.
Sure.
Yeah, because I have different line of work, so we don't usually need Excel or Word for the most part. And I get feedback from our users. They're heavily integrated into the Microsoft ecosystem.
Sure.
And I think most of them, I mean, one thing is they don't want to destroy their Microsoft documents. I think that's the biggest fear.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen some monstrosities with macros and whatever, and 50-year-old files in the public service.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, we will not fix that. Yeah, that's fine. But I think if you have a team of multiple people and you would be the one who would try to use a different solution, you don't, because you don't want to be, you will not be the hero who brought in new technology, you will be the person who screwed up the document for everybody else. And I think that's why a lot of, at least our users, would not even want to try to use it. So that's what made OnlyOffice so attractive, that they say, hey, we have like super close compatibility.
Yeah.
You won't even notice it's not Microsoft.
Yes, they say this. Many things can be said.
So
Yeah.
don't have this fear to
Sure.
use OnlyOffice, because not everyone in the team will use the online editor. Yeah. One person might, and the others just download the file and edit it locally with the Microsoft Office on whatever platform.
Sure.
So just as a feedback, yeah, that they're scared to break the document. Yeah.
I understand that. And you know, like having been in a number of conferences up against my competition, it's been notable to me that they can load and save this thing perfectly, but when you load it in LibreOffice, it's different for the PPTX, and it actually turns out that it's broken in Microsoft as well. You see, so there's some like perception thing there. It's like what you've generated this completely wrong, and so that's why it looks broken, except in your solution. So I think this claim of 100% fidelity or whatever is frankly nonsense. And if you believe that, I have some prime real estate to sell you in Spain. I mean, the reality is that I've been doing this for a very long time now, and I actually helped standardize Microsoft's file formats as part of the ECMA process. And I mean, the copy command is like 100% interoperable. If you copy a file from A to B, it's the same file. I mean, hopefully, right? So yeah, 100% interoperability. The problem comes when you try to edit it, right? And yeah, well, then you really have to understand the format and what it means and what permissions are and all of these fields and so on. And I think we do a fantastic job of that. We're the best implementation outside of Microsoft. And so it's possible that we should lie in our marketing to increase confidence to people to try it. But that sits badly with me. Yeah, so I mean, we continue to work on this day to day with great detail, and those pieces are smaller and smaller and smaller, corner cases where there are issues. Let me give you some examples. So I mean, one of our biggest problems comes from automated systems generating documents, because automated systems tend to generate a totally broken document that just happens to work in Microsoft Office, right? So the programmer, just spits out XML till it seems to work, job done, right? And that's fine, but you end up with a document with, no styles or styles with no name, no font size, no color, so we work through these, but inevitably there's, one I particularly like was, the minimum size of the table row is larger than the page size. So how you deal with these sort of conflicting constraints of it's got to be at least bigger than the page and then fit it on the page, and anyway. So we try and solve these problems as they come up, but they're increasingly rare. That would be my take. So yeah, it's good fun. Yeah, it gives me plenty to be doing. I never mind new features and C tables or whatever. There's a lot to do with the existing documents and bringing all those people into a free software world. Back to you, sir.
How are you on the support side of things?
Sure.
How good is your support program?
Well, it's excellent, of course, because that's what we sell. So let me give you some statistics. In the last 10 years, we've had something like 3,600 tickets, something like that, about 10 a day. We have about 20 tickets open currently that haven't been solved in terms of, that's direct customer support requests and tickets and so on. And it's hard to get below that because people file them, they take time, they get triaged, there's people, engineers looking into them. So yeah, pretty good. We've 10 a day every day we fix. So,
Not too bad.
well, it could be worse. I mean, we could have like thousands hidden in the basement somewhere. That,
How quick are you implementing changes? For example, or maybe you have like bug bounties, campaigns.
Yes, I've seen a number of bug bounties. I'm not terribly convinced by that as a means of funding development. So I think Collabora Online is quite a large investment. It's in the multi-million euro range. One of these bug bounty sites, I think, had about 200 euros as the bounty for implementing the feature, which I was quite impressed by. We claimed it, but it was too much hassle to, we gave it to someone else to. I think there is quite a gap between people's perception of what it costs to do something and the actual engineering cost. So I meet quite a lot of excited community people who will say, oh, I'll give you 10 bucks to do something. And the 10 bucks is, of course, several thousand euros worth of engineering work. And that's fine if there's several thousand people with 10 bucks. But yeah, it doesn't work so well at scale. So yeah, I forget what the question was now. But hopefully. How quick? Yeah, so there's no definitive time. The engineering time it takes to fix a ticket from starting it, on average, is about a person week. So it's hard to do it quicker than that. That's assuming your support ticket isn't, I've misconfigured it, or my app thing has chopped to the, or I added a header that says you can't connect back, and now I can't connect back, and like it's not working, and which is quite a large chunk of our support tickets. So yeah, it's about a person a week, but there's a huge variation in that. Sometimes, it's a major feature and it takes a month or more. Sometimes it's just, hey, it's a little tweak. We missed a string in a dialogue deep in the bowels and we should translate that, say, much easier.
How often do you release updates?
That's a really good question, yeah. So we have an annual cadence for major releases, and then we have minor releases maybe every month, depending on the latest security vulnerability. They can be quicker, but we do those minor releases, and we put small, well-tested features in then every month. And then we support for 3 years out of the gate. So yeah, if that helps. So we don't want to push you to upgrade if you don't want to, but we want to provide options. We also have snapshots of our very latest stuff that customers can get, so you have access to all of the versions all the time. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Anyone else? I mean, these three gentlemen here have really helped, but of course, yeah.
You showed a very fast commercial slide.
A commercial slide.
The licensing model, you said it's open source, so
Yeah, that's a really good question. Let me find that for you.
it would be really interesting to understand
This one.
what is it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So we have a community version, which is called the Development Edition. That's free, and we provide binaries of that. There's no limits in it. It has rolling updates. We recommend it for testing and home use. If you want to be part of seeing the very latest and greatest features and testing them, you're very welcome to use it, and encouraged, in fact. And we have a community, and we have forums, and people contributing and playing with it and doing cool stuff. So that's awesome. For business, we have this kind of segmentation here. Again, you want to talk to Christoph or Jonathan or someone like this. And yeah, then we provide these long-term supports. We have an SLA in terms of how quickly can we respond. Signed security updates, long-term maintenance, access, product management integration, talking to us. And then enterprise users get something else. One of the interesting things about Microsoft Office pricing, which you are probably aware of, but many people are not, is that the price goes up in volume. So like, there up to 99 users has like a home user cheap price of the online. But once you start to get to this bucket, like the price jumps quite significantly, which is amazing, isn't it? Buy more, get less, you know, or something like that. There's an excuse for it, but I forget what it is. Anyway, so we don't so much do that. We try and keep the pricing sensible. But yeah, did that help? I mean, yeah?
Perfect. Just was for you to prepare for.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, so yeah, we have another very awful product, which I don't talk about much, called the Lite product, which does like a per connection thing and has a terrible support thing and something. We basically try to match the opposition, you know, so that we can match their unreasonably low pricing by providing a terrible product. And you know, so we try and, but really we want to support users. We want to get your feedback. We want to improve the product, and so that's why we go with the per user thing. We love to do site licenses for big organizations, so they don't have to care about whether one student joins or leaves or something. We're very, very flexible. But again, Christoph or Jonathan are good people to talk to that. Does that help? Excellent.
What I can offer to everybody who has a CFA system, if you want to test out Collabora online, we can provide you with testing systems or with a demo system integrating CFA with Collabora. If you want to make a deep dive comparison between only Office and Collabora, we can provide you with both. Yeah, just
Sure.
call us, write us an email, and we can provide you with the necessary information.
Definitely. Love to get your feedback. And we should get you on the latest version as well. You know? Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. You've been very patient. Bless you.